Hey, g'day everyone, it's Doc Joe here from Story Weaver Games, and today I'm going to be showcasing a cute little utility and functionality for making cool dungeon walls, and it's using the symbols along a line approach. And this information all comes from this month's Cartography Annual 2018, where they've got a lovely little guide and a set of tools which they've made to speed this up. But this is a technique that you'll be able to use with other symbols as well. So what we're going to do for this is make these lovely dungeon walls that are sort of raggedy like that, rather than just the plain straight edge dungeon walls. So I'm going to start by demonstrating this by, of course, creating a new dungeon. And I'm just going to choose any old dungeon background. We'll choose a 200 by 160 battle map. That'll be nice and tight. And one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the grid because I don't want that to get in the way of what we're working here today. So I'll just hide that, hiding the 5-foot square grid and any other grids that we've got. So we've got our work area. Now what we're going to be doing first of all is setting up a guideline for our walls to be drawn along. And you can do that by making sure that you have got the Dungeon Designer menu selected, and then you click the default wall type, but you right click on it and you select wall temporary. And that's because we don't need this wall to be there too long. I'm also going to adjust my snap settings to be 10-foot grid with 2 snaps. There we go. And I'll start here. I'll draw a little bit of a corridor. I might draw a little antechamber here as we go down the corridor. Maybe I'll open up into a larger room here. Put another little corridor in there and open up into an odd-shaped room of some form. There we go. I'll just make it like a little chapel or maybe a crypt. That's up to you guys. Now, what we've actually drawn here is what is known as a path. So we started here and we drew a path, a connected set of lines all the way around the map. And that path is then going to be followed by a tool that we're going to open up. And that tool will give us this wall effect, which is actually made up of lots of separate symbols. It's called the symbols along a line. So to find that, you click on Draw, and you can see, you'll be familiar with text along a curve by now. What we're wanting is symbols along, and it brings up this dialog box. The good news is that they have, in this version of the monthly annual, they have given us a symbols catalog that you can just click and load in by clicking here. Unfortunately, it's not always obvious where this is stored, so I've shown you this. It's in Program Data, Pro Fantasy, CC3Plus Annual, and of course the annual that it is, and I just want the standard Dungeon Designer stones, but I could choose different stone walls as well if I wanted, but I'll just choose these. And what that does is it brings in a catalog effectively of stone symbols. You can see them here. And then there's a whole bunch of other settings. These settings can be modified. Let's say we wanted our blocks to be put slightly separate from each other. Well, then you could alter the chance that they would be put in place. You could actually have some missing stones there if you wanted. Not so good for what we're doing here. You can also scale the symbols. Again, 100% is probably what we want. We don't want any scaling. And gaps between the symbols, definitely not the case for here. We want these actually to overlap. So you can see we've got a 20% overlap here. And that's it. You actually don't need to set any of those things if you just load it in from that location I showed you before. Again, find your program data folder, Pro Fantasy, CC3Plus Annual, and then the issue 134. So we'll open that up. There we go. And then you just click on OK. And you select the path, and bingo. Now, what it's actually done here, and I'm just going to zoom in so you can see it, is it's drawn all of these separate symbols. You can see they're a separate symbol. If I went to delete one of them, you would see it would just delete that one symbol. But it hasn't done it quite right. And that is because I drew this path starting from here and going all the way down. And what it's actually doing is it's drawing along the inside of that path line. So we need to reverse the path. So I'm going to go Control Z. We'll undo that. And to reverse this path, in other words, to tell Campaign Cartographer to start it moving from, instead of from here all the way to this point, we want to reverse those 2 points. And the way that you do that is you type in the command FLP. Let me just double check that. Stands for flip, 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 flip. Yep, FLP, flip. And you select the polyline, this path that we've got. Bingo. That's now moved that point to that point and vice versa. And so what we'll do now is we will redraw symbols along, and we've got everything set up from when we just did it. Click there, and bingo, now you can see our dungeon walls are all pretty much on the outside. So we've got this lovely texture in here, and that's it. Now I wanted to show you something else. That's the basics, so you can see how symbols along a line works. It's pretty easy. Great way of quickly drawing beautiful stonework around your maps. The other thing that you can do is select a path, a spline path, for example. Actually, we'll select a smooth path, like so. And then, yes, you guessed it, we will draw another symbols along the path, and you can actually draw curved walls. Okay, you could then come in and draw some floors in this map, but before we do that, I'd like to turn on our sheets. So let me just zoom out. I'm going to click on the sheets layer. There we go. And I'm going to activate the sheets. Click on OK, and you can see that's now blended those walls a little bit nicer together and put a gorgeous shadow in them. I'm going to remove all of those because, quite frankly, we don't need any of that for this particular map. You can see I'm having to mark not just the line, but also the individual elements. So let's get rid of that. And we'll draw a floor. I'm going to right click. I'm going to select, which a nice floor. Brown cobblestones. And from here to here. Don't you just love grid snap? Makes mapping so much easier. There we go. I'm only going to draw halfway around there because I'll draw a different floor color in the temple section. Bingo. And we'll choose a different floor. Let's choose the nice red bricks. Bingo. Let's refresh that. You can now start to see you've got a much more interesting dungeon than we've ever had access to before. So there you go. That's the wonderful power of the draw along a line or draw along a path tool. It's working well. If you don't have the monthly annual subscription service, I strongly recommend you get it. It's one of the few products I absolutely recommend to everybody to grab. It really is worth it. And if not, it's okay. You can still make your own symbol catalogs and create your own approaches to doing this.